From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, body of bench has sanctioned 17 lawyers for professional misconduct as EFCC persecutes over 100 for financial fraud. Court discharges and acquits suspended DCP Abba Kyari of 23-count charge of non-declaration of assets brought against him by the NDLEA. The Kano State House of Assembly begins move to impeach the deputy governor following allegations of diverting 1.5 billion naira in public funds. And Israel's top military commander says the country is entering a new stage of its campaign against Iran, one in which it plans to step up efforts to weaken the Iranian leadership and degrade its military strength.
On business news, President Bola Tinubu ends 15-year OPL 245 dispute, paving way for major deep-water investments.
On sports news tonight, CAF postpones Women's Cup of Nations in Morocco by 4 months, just 2 weeks before kickoff.
And from the nation's capital, Senate summons former group CEO of the NNPCL, Mele Kyari, and 2 others over alleged unaccounted funds between 2017 and 2023.
We begin tonight with judiciary matters as the body of benchers has sanctioned its 17 lawyers over professional misconduct with penalties ranging from 2 to 5 years suspension handed to the erring lawyers. The revelation was made at the body of benchers annual lecture and presentation of the report of its disciplinary committee for the year 2025. Meanwhile, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, says that over 100 senior lawyers are currently being prosecuted by the Commission over matters relating to financial fraud.
It's the second annual lecture of the body of benches holding in Abuja, and in attendance are senior members of the bar and bench, including the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, the President of the Nigeria Bar Association, and several senior advocates of Nigeria. The conference, which features the presentation of the yearly report of the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee, is an opportunity for retrospect and to chart a new path to sustaining ethics and enhancing professionalism.
Our gathering today is not a ulabalu or jamboree. It is a time of reflection on the past, to retrospect over our common values, ethics and ethos, and our resilience, as well as express our faith, hope, and belief in the existence of the body, and project the many accomplishments that awaits us.
Regulation is the backbone of every enduring profession. Through the solemn rites of call to bar, the body admits qualified persons into a vocation that is both noble and demanding. Yet, its responsibilities extend far beyond ceremonial admission. The maintenance of standards, the preservation of discipline, and the protection of the profession's integrity are continuing obligations that shape public confidence in our justice system.
In his remarks, the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission expresses concern over the rise in cases of lawyers involved in financial fraud.
We have had cause to investigate quite a number of senior members of the bar, found quite a number of them culpable for offences ranging from criminal conversion of clients' money to enabling money laundering and all sort of. Before I came here, I just checked my database and I discovered that we have over 100 senior members of the bar that we are prosecuting at the moment for those offences. So it has become very necessary for us to work together.
One critical aspect of the conference is a presentation of the 2025 Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee's report, where 70 lawyers were penalized for various offenses.
It is my honor and privilege to unveil the 2025 of the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee. Very well done, and thank you.
The indicted legal practitioners were found guilty of infamous conduct in the course of the performance of their duties as legal practitioners. 3 of the indicted practitioners had their names struck off the roll of legal practitioners. 3 were suspended for 5 years, 2 were suspended for 4 years, 5 were suspended for 3 years, 4 were suspended for 2 years, and the last one was given a warning.
The body of benches is a regulatory body for the legal profession in Nigeria, and as the second annual lecture ends, the message around discipline, ethics, and professionalism resonates strongly with the participants.
Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court Abuja has discharged and acquitted the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, on a 23-count charge of alleged non-declaration of assets filed against him by the NDLEA. Mr. Kyari is being charged alongside his 2 brothers, who were accused of swearing to a false affidavit to conceal the origin of some properties. And the court, in its judgment, held that the NDLEA failed to provide sufficient evidence in proving its case against the defendants. Justice Omotosho, who says the proving ownership of landed properties can be done through traditional history, title, acts of possession, and possession by connection, also pointed out that the prosecution did not provide any of these documents to show that the said properties located in Fountain Estate in Kasana, which belongs to one Ramatu Kyari, is truly owned by Mr. Abba Kyari. He added that the prosecution charged Mr. Kyari's brothers in bad faith for alleged conspiracy, which they failed to prove. According to Justice Omotosho, the defendant had served the country well and should not be subjected to persecution. Some members of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, have staged a protest at the entrance of the Federal High Court Abuja, demanding that Justice Joyce Abdul Malik recuse herself from the case involving the David Mark-led executive of the party and the ADC's 2023 presidential candidate, Mr. Dumebi Kachiku. The former ADC presidential candidate is challenging the legality of the David Mark-led National Working Committee of the ADC. The protesters, who say that they are not sure of getting justice if Justice Abdul Malik continues with the case, and now they are asking the Chief Judge, as a matter of urgency, reassign the case to another judge.
As the ADC case is coming up before Justice Joyce Abdul Malik on Friday, 6th March 2026, we call on the CGN, NBA President, Nigeria international communities, and all lovers of freedom across the globe to press her to rescue herself from the ADC case. Let it be known to Justice Joyce Abdul Malik and her co-travelers that we will occupy the Federal High Court tomorrow, 6/3/2026, to ensure that she did not sit to carry out the assignment given to her by the ruling APC. We call on all Nigerians who are not here today to come out, occupy the Federal High Court tomorrow, until Justice Joyce Abdul Malik rescue herself finally. We urge the CGN, NBA President, and international community to act swiftly to rescue democracy and uphold judicial integrity.
The Kano State House of Assembly has initiated the impeachment proceeding against the Deputy Governor of the state, Aminu Abdul Salam Gwarzo, over allegations of gross misconduct, abuse of office, and breach of public trust. The impeachment notice was presented during plenary by the Majority Leader Lawan Hussaini Dala, who said the move is in accordance with Section 188 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. Mr. Dalla told lawmakers that the allegations relate to Mr. Abdul Salam's tenure as Commissioner for Local Government between 2023 and 2024, and it also involves his current role as Deputy Governor. According to the majority leader, the Deputy Governor allegedly participated in the diversion of funds meant for the administration of the state's 44 local government councils, while he served as Commissioner overseeing the sector. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has called on residents of the FCT to give their full support to President Bola Tinubu, warning them against emergency Democrats who do not mean well for Nigeria. Mr. Wike made this call while on a thank-you tour at Kuje Area Council following the victory of the All Progressives Congress in the FCT Area Council elections. Our correspondent Kumbi Abuluwade reports.
Kuje Area Council becomes the third council the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory is visiting as part of his thank-you tour following the victory of the APC in the FCT Area Council elections on the 21st of February 2026. The chairman-elect of Kuje Area Council, while acknowledging the minister's effort towards his victory at the polls, speaks on some of the challenges residents in the area are experiencing.
Why we have difficulties in returning us on the day of election was because of our raw terrain in Kuje Area Council. Your Excellency, my appeal to you, please, sir, that you should look into this. Especially, we have 3 roads that will help us grow our economy in Kuje Area Council, from Gude to Kuje, from Kuje to Rubochi, and also from Kuje to Kabi.
In response, the FCT minister appreciates the residents for their support during the election and gives his assurance that the request will be put into consideration.
Because the Kuje people have done it for us, we too will do it for you. So you have mentioned 2 or 3 roads. Let me tell you, by the time your chairman is sworn in by June this year, I will call him, I'll call the traditional ruler, we'll sit down, which one do we start first?
He shares some advice with the newly elected chairman and warns the residents against emergency Democrats.
Please, let's work together. Don't allow emergency Democrats. Don't run away from listening to your people. Because when you were campaigning, you were always at home. Now that the result has come, don't be an away chairman. And I know, working with me, if you're an away chairman, you'll be in trouble.
Mr. Wike also urged residents to support President Bola Tinubu's drive in promoting development in the FCT. From the nation's capital, Kumbi Aboluwade, Channels Television News.
The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria FAN says the rollout of its cashless policy at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport is gaining momentum despite early hiccups with traffic congestion. The agency says since October 2025, more than 100,000 travelers have signed up on the new payment platform, with a surge of nearly 60,000 registrations coming during the last 3 days before the policy officially took effect. The managing director of FAN, Mrs. Olubumi Kugu, says the agency will refine the system following President Bola Tinubu's directive to adopt a hybrid approach that allows both cash and electronic payments.
We had actually asked for a hybrid approach that allows us to do both cashless as well as automated. So for me and the agency, we actually thank Mr. President for this laudable initiative. The fact that the President is not just taking federal government initiatives or policy rollouts, but understanding the nature of every environment. He saw the traffic gridlock that we were having as we were rolling out the cashless policy, and in his good nature and understanding of our environment, took it upon himself to ask ask us to revert back to status quo or the hybrid approach. That's what we're doing. So this is a win for the industry. There are a few moving parts. So one is to make sure that the technology works. Two is secondly to make sure that a lot of our users are more enlightened. We give more people the options to pick up whether it's the cards, the e-tags, and then bring on the private sector on board to ensure that we're sort of using lessons learned that are made in other regions as well. I do want to say that despite all of the enlightenment that was started, I believe that a lot of passengers as well as commuters did not realize that we will actually stick to the March 1st deadline that was given to us.
In part two, after the break, Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris says the current administration's economic reforms are producing measurable results. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Body of bench has sanctioned 17 lawyers for professional misconduct as the FCC persecutes over 100 for financial fraud. Court discharges and acquits suspended DCP Abba Kyari of the third 23-count charge of non-declaration of assets brought against him by the NDLEA. Kano State House of Assembly begins move to impeach the deputy governor following allegations of diverting 1.6 billion naira of public funds. And Israel's top military commander says the country is entering a new stage of its campaign against Iran, one in which it plans to step up efforts to weaken the Iranian leadership and degrade its military strength. The second persecution witness, Cordelia Onuwabagbe, the grieving 56-year-old mother of late Augusta, broke down in tears today while testifying in the murder trial of Benjamin Best Nanyerugo, also known as Killer Boy, at the Lagos High Court sitting in the Iboshere area of Lagos Island. Mrs. Onuwabagbe, who told the trial judge, Justice Ibironke Harrison, how her only daughter developed a relationship with the defendant and what transpired in the hours leading to her death. Our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shiele, reports.
At the JIC Taylor Courthouse, sitting in Iboshere, Lagos Island, officers of the Correctional Center lead the defendant, Benjamin Best Nanyerugo, also known as Killer Boy, into the courtroom of Justice Ibironke Harrison. The courtroom is packed full, and the very busy judge swiftly moves on to the business of the day. Mrs. Cordelia Onuwabagbe, the grieving mother of late Augusta, takes the witness box to narrate how her daughter was allegedly killed by her boyfriend, Killer Boy. Led in evidence by the Lagos State Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, Dr. Babajide Martins, the single mother of two recounted how her daughter brought home the defendant in 2021, introduced him as a boyfriend, and how she accepted him as a son who was always welcome to her house. According to her, trouble began when the relationship showed signs of violence in 2022, when the couple traveled together for vacation. She said 7 days into the vacation, the defendant abused and beat her daughter, smashed her phone, and pulled off her hair. And even though he didn't record that incident, he proceeded to record her daughter angrily throwing pillows back at him and calling him a wicked man, a video he would later upload online after her death as false proof that she was the violent one. The witness also recounted that after the vacation, he came begging, and she decided to forgive him after her daughter also begged on his behalf. The late Augusta's mother also told the court that events took a disturbing turn in July 2023 when Killer Boy accused her daughter of infidelity, and she in turn sent a voice note that she felt threatened by the defendants. Matters got to a head when calls to her phone were not answered, and through the help of the daughter's roommate at the Lead City University, Ibadan, the family traced her to the boyfriend's house in Aja, Lagos, where they discovered her body. Investigations would later reveal that she was stabbed in the stomach, and the suspect, her boyfriend Killer Boy, fled to Sierra Leone. The mother credited Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, with helping to effect the arrest of Killer Boy in that country, but he would later break out of jail, fleeing through multiple countries with multiple identities till he was eventually arrested in Qatar and repatriated back to Nigeria. The court also heard that Killer Boy at one time went online to confess to the murder, but later turned around to blackmail the family by threatening to release a sex tape allegedly made by their daughter. Outside the courtroom, another drama occurred as officials of the correctional center illegally took the defendant through the judge's entrance in a bid to evade the cameras of journalists. Justice Harrison has adjourned till April 22nd and 23rd for cross-examination of the witness. Shola Shoyeli, Channels Television News.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, says for the first time in 13 years, Nigeria's foreign reserves has crossed the $50 billion mark, a feat has been attributing to the economic reforms of President Bola Tinubu. He made the remark when he received the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, on a courtesy visit in Abuja. According to the minister, the federal government is taking decisive steps to strengthen critical infrastructure and support industrialization.
For the first time, we have seen headline inflation really nosediving beyond what we had expected. Food inflation has gone down. GDP, has gone up. So, reserves, like I said earlier, is up. All the indices and all the rating agencies of the world, the Fitches, the Moody's, all of them are saying that indeed Nigeria is a destination for everyone to come to. So I think this is the right moment for you to continue your march, advocating that trade and investment need to come to Nigeria. What we are seeing in many sectors, especially in the health sector, and I need to emphasize that at the point that people thought that America has lost hope in its partnership with Nigeria, or that America does not see Nigeria as a great partner, even as they were pushing making Nigeria in a country, or characterizing Nigeria as a country of particular concern. At the same time, the United States is investing, especially in the health sector. They have invested heavily, more than what they have done in any other part of Africa, here in Nigeria. We have seen that happen. And that is enabling medical industrialization, revolution in the health sector to also happen. And only yesterday, the president talked about cleaning up the power sector by intervening, because he's already mulling the idea of having the National Grid Assets Management Company. Now, when this one comes into being, it will help Nigeria to actually have stable electricity power supply.
We shift gears now. Let's move to the nation's capital, Abuja, where Terry Ikume is standing by to bring us more stories on the news at 10. Over to you, Terry.
Many thanks, Anne. The Senate Committee on Public Accounts has summoned the immediate past Group CEO of the NNPCL, Mr. Mele Kyari, alongside former Chief Financial Officer Umar Ajia Isa and former Group General Manager of National Petroleum Investment Management Services, Bala Wunti, to explain an alleged 210 trillion naira that was not properly accounted for between 2017 and 2023. Chairman of the committee, Senator Aliyu Wadada, issued the summons today following a review of audit reports concerning the National Oil Company. The committee also warned that it could issue warrants of arrest against the former officials if they fail to appear before it on a date to be communicated soon. Senator Wadada disclosed the committee's resolutions while briefing the media after its meeting. According to him, the former management team is expected to appear before the committee alongside the current leadership of the NNPCL, led by the incumbent GCEO, Mr. Bayo Julari, as well as external auditors who worked with the company during the period under review.
The NNPC should refund the sum of 210 trillion, being the combined sum of 103 trillion and 107 trillion, which were not properly explained to the committee, as the aggregate sum cannot be netted off in tandem with accounting principles. That the NNPCL should refund to Treasury all production costs charged against crude oil revenue for the period under review, since the NNPC and its subsidiaries, NAPIMS and Co., do not directly produce crude oil. 3. To invite the immediate past management of NNPC and NAPIMS. The immediate past management is, of course, Mele Kyari as the Group Managing Director, Umar Ajia as the Chief Financial Officer, and Bala Wunti as the then GGM NAPIMS, should and must appear before the committee and to be laid by the present management with the entire body of the external auditors that served within the period under review, which will further enable the committee to take measures that will forestall future occurrences in the management of public funds. If they don't come, there are procedures, and then we will comply to the procedures. But we will invoke our rules, but before then, we leave it until we get there.
The National Council of Nutrition has set up a nutrition financing subcommittee to develop a funding structure to finance Nigeria's nutrition interventions. The committee was inaugurated during a virtual meeting of the council chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Vice President Kashim Shettima called for ring-fencing nutrition financing in order to bridge the gap between promises made and lives changed, saying the National Nutrition Bill should be pursued with urgency. Members of the subcommittee, chaired by the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, include the Ministers of Education, Water Resources, Women Affairs and Science and Technology, as well as the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President and the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Health, while the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning will serve as the Secretariat. The committee is expected to come up with a financing roadmap within 30 days and present the document to the National Council on Nutrition and the National Economic Council for review and final adoption.
Nigeria has crossed an important turning point. We are no longer debating whether nutrition matters. That debate has been settled by evidence, by experience, and by the realities confronting us. So the central reform issue before us is financing, not its theory, but its execution. We must be clear about how funds are budgeted, released, ring-fenced, and tracked, and how every naira is accounted for across ministries, departments, agencies, and states. Budgeting without release is not financing. Allocation without predictability is not reform. Nutrition must be protected. Every MDA must now account not just for figures on paper, but for measurable changes in the lives of Nigerians. This council owes the nation a burden of responsibility to dismantle the dysfunctions that hinder our quest for a well-nourished nation. That is why what is said and decided here today matters. We must strengthen budget tagging, tracking, and reforms to the chart of accounts so Nigerians can see real outcomes. Without ring-fencing nutrition financing, the gap between promises made and lives changed will continue to widen. Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at the heart of our intervention is the National Policy on Food and Nutrition 2026 to 2035. And we must ensure that it is judged by results, especially at the grassroots. This policy must not sit on shelves. It must function as a delivery and accountability instrument that places Nigeria on a clear path to 2035.
Still ahead on the news at 10, President Bola Tinubu resolves 15-year OPL 245 dispute, paving the way for major deep water projects. That's some business news, to stay with us.
Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous.
Welcome back to the News at 10. The Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang has commissioned 70 electricity transformers for distribution to communities across the state, while announcing the completion of mobilization for the installation of a 132 kVA transmission line project to serve the southern and central senatorial zones. The governor made the announcement during the flag-off of the distribution exercise, describing the intervention as a major step towards improving electricity access and strengthening power supply in underserved communities.
This commissioning ceremony marks another step by the Plateau State government to address power supply challenges and improve electricity access for communities.
I formally commissioned these transformers.
Governor Caleb Mutfwang, while flagging off the distribution of the 70 transformers, highlights the essence of the intervention, which is aimed at boosting voltage stability, reducing outages, and supporting economic activities across the state.
We continue to do our best to make sure that we improve the living conditions of our people. As we know, energy is central not only to good livelihood, it's central to healthcare delivery, it's central to businesses, and even in agriculture, we're getting to the point where we must utilize energy to drive agriculture. Our goal and our ambition is that over the next 2 years, Plateau State will become a net seller of energy. And by God's grace, this shall be possible.
The distribution of the transformers forms part of the government's broader rural electrification initiative aimed at improving electricity supply for homes, businesses, and public services.
The transformer being flagged off today will help improve voltage stability, reduce power disruption, and support both residential and commercial activities. They also complement our broader effort to ensure that energy infrastructure adequately supports water supply scheme and other critical public services.
Community representatives and stakeholders at the event commend the government for the intervention.
Going to help people with small business to come up, and a lot of people are farming. There are farmers over there, so it's really going to assist them in processing their farm produce, and there has been always a security challenge around there. So with this light, it's really going to help subside the insecurity in that community.
Over the past 5 years, we've suffered in this period of non-availability of light. And today, the thing of joy for us, not just in Agingi, but other communities have also benefited.
The government appealed to benefiting communities to take ownership of the transformers and other electricity infrastructure by safeguarding them against vandalism. Percy Dabang, Channels Television News.
Well, it's a wrap from the nation's capital. The rest of the news continues from Lagos with Anne.
Thank you, Terry. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to reducing industrial carbon emissions in Nigeria in line with its international obligations and its national goal of achieving net zero emissions by the year 2060. The Minister of Environment, Mr. Balarabe Lawal, stated this at the official commissioning of the United Nations House Greening Project in Abuja, where he also highlighted the power sector's challenges in the country, asking support of green energy initiative.
The United Nations House in Abuja is bringing together the Minister of Environment, Mr. Balarabe Lawal, the Minister of Power, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, international diplomats, and other dignitaries. The reason for this gathering is the official commissioning of the UN House Greening Project. In his opening remarks, the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria underscores the importance of the project.
Support the industry of this country and expand energy access for millions. Nigeria is already moving forward, let's face it. With the Electricity Act of 2023 and the country climate commitment, Nigeria has signaled its ambition to expand renewable energy and achieve universal electricity access in the short time. The United Nations is proud to stand with Nigeria in this journey.
The federal government has also launched the Nigeria Energy Plan, targeting net zero emissions by 2060 and universal energy access by 2020.
We want to sincerely support this project. I want to sincerely feel that the need for us, for you, to see how we can engage with you, to find out how we can also do a similar thing. This project will go a long way in trying to address it and promote sustainable development and sustainable buildings.
The Rural Electrification Agency, on its part, is making substantial progress in expanding energy access across Nigeria, with multiple initiatives targeting underserved rural and peri-urban communities.
What is the total cost of money required to electrify these communities in the most socially, economically efficient means of electrifying it? And we came up with a figure. And that figure is $23 billion is what is required to strengthen the communities that are underserved and to provide electricity to communities that are not served using the least cost approach.
After the speeches, the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria leads the delegation for the official commissioning of the United Nations House Greening Energy Project.
Wema Bank PLC has reaffirmed its own commitment to women inclusion and empowerment by awarding female changemakers and entrepreneurs a cash grant of 2 million naira each, supporting their initiatives and amplifying their impact in society. The grants were presented during the bank's 2026 International Women's Day event, which was held in Lagos under the theme, Give to Gain. When women gain, we grow.
Dynamic women breaking barriers across industries gather in Lagos as Wema Bank PLC hosts its International Women's Day event themed Give to Gain, When Women Gain, We Grow. The chairman of Wema Bank PLC, Mrs. Oluwayemisi Olonshola, delivers the opening remarks, emphasizing the importance of creating opportunities that enable women to succeed in business, leadership, and society.
Give to Gain represents a cycle of impact. When women are given the room to build, they do not build alone. They create jobs, they mentor others, they reinvest in families and communities. The gain is never isolated. It is exponential.
The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Wema Bank PLC, Maruf Oseni, highlights the bank's impact in advancing women's empowerment.
In 2025 alone, we successfully facilitated the financial inclusion of over 400,000 women, trained 113,000 women, disbursed over 62 billion in loans, and over 40 million in grants to women-owned businesses. We've connected over 1,000 women entrepreneurs with over 50,000 buyers and facilitated free health screenings for over 1,000 women.
The event shifts to a panel discussion where experts underscore financial inclusion as a key driver of prosperity for women.
It's not charity when you give a woman. It's actually a strategic investment to the growth of the economy, of the environment that this woman practically operates in.
For women to gain,
she not just needs capital, she needs the structure that ensures that the access to the capital is fair.
So investing into a woman is beyond opening an account for her or giving her a POS machine or giving her access to loan. Please, when you empower a woman, it's a nation-building strategy.
The occasion also features the unveiling of the Wema Bank Girl Child Journal, showcasing 80 powerful insights from trailblazing women.
Journal, can we please give a round of applause to Wema Bank?
A fireside chat unfolds with actress and filmmaker Funke Akindele, where she encourages women to dare to dream boldly, break barriers, and give back meaningfully to society.
I think about when I pass the baton of knowledge to this woman, she'll pass it to the next one. You know, from generation to generation, we'll build stronger women in the industry. I will build a strong industry.
Fantastic.
I think about that. Then for me, at the end of the day, when I give them the visibility, leadership roles, it grows my business. Oh, yes. I multiply.
The spotlight shines on the awardees of Wema Bank PLC's She Empowers Her by Sarah Award, with each recipient receiving a grant of 2 million naira.
I really feel excited and overwhelmed because apparently I was expecting the monetary part of it. I was expecting that. So I really feel excited.
As women celebrate this year's International Women's Day, Wema Bank says it will continue to foster gender inclusion and build systems that encourage women to thrive.
Let's now join Dominic Iwewu to take us through more stories from the world of business.
Thank you, Anne. And on business news, President Bola Tinubu has overseen a historic resolution of the long-running OPL 245 oil dispute in Abuja, unlocking major deepwater investments in Nigeria's petroleum sector. The agreement ends a dispute spanning more than 15 years and restores clarity to one of Nigeria's most commercially promising deepwater blocks. Describing the deal as a strategic milestone, President Tinubu said it reaffirms his administration's commitment to resolving legacy disputes, restoring investor confidence, and ensuring Nigeria's natural resources deliver sustainable value. The agreement with international oil companies could attract billions of dollars in investment, create jobs, boost crude production, and increase government revenues. Meanwhile, a report by Bloomberg Economics says rising global oil prices could strengthen the current account balances of Nigeria, Ghana, and Angola, as higher crude prices boost export earnings and foreign exchange inflows. The report says Angola's current account balance could improve by as much as 3.3% of GDP, while Nigeria is expected to benefit not only from crude sales, but also from fuel exports. However, the report says oil importing economies such as South Africa, Kenya, and the Democratic Republic of Congo could face higher fuel import bills and weaker currencies. According to the report, inflation will be the biggest risk for many economies across the continent, raising the possibility of further interest rate hikes by central banks. Following the suspension of cashless payments directive at the country's airports by the federal government due to some challenges faced by passengers, an aviation expert, Mr. Gbenga Onitelo, says some critical measures need to be put in place to avert chaos in the future. Speaking on our Business Morning program, Mr. Onitelo listed some of the initiatives that authorities should consider before implementing the policy at airports across the country.
The journey starts from when the customer leaves home. So the process is first, you put the technology in place. When you put the technology in place, the second one is you fix payments. What kind of payments exist? USSD, they only have one singular payment through Paystack. Multiple channels of payment have to be in place. Whether people go through web, QR code, mobile app, all form of payment must be integrated into it. The third phase you have to go through, then you go through registration process. So registration process also is something that has to be give a long time span for this. And you also have to put incentives in place for people to register. Then also, who are the customers running through this place? You have people that work at the airport. You have people that are dropping off at the airport. You have people just passing through that axis to have a shorter distance. So the question is, the process of registration for these people has to be fixed. which means you have to have malls or shops where people can easily go in, register. People can register online via mobile apps. So there has to be a massive campaign and 75 people to get this done.
Let's get a check-in on the domestic stock markets, which rebounded in today's trading session as investors bargain hunt. Here's Ladi Williams.
Well, hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, as I noted yesterday, the previous drop was short-lived as investor sentiment shifted today, taking us back in the green, 0.18%, 196,000 points for the all-share index, market cap 126 trillion. For the sectors that we track now, the banking counter, that's up today about 0.51%. The likes of Zenith Bank adding over 1%, Access Score and UBA, countering the loss with GTCO and First Holdco. Then the oil and gas counter is 0.16% down. It's slow today, even though oil prices were still quite bullish today. Then for the market mover, MTN Nigeria closing at 795 naira, adding 5 naira today. So with lower volume and value of trades today, we have 31 gainers to 37 decliners.
Thank you, Dali. Now let's see the snapshot performance of other major global markets. That's it on business news. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. Outside our shores, Israel says that it is moving to the next phase of the war with Iran, in which it will further dismantle the regime and its military capabilities. And this is coming as Iranians express tiredness over the conflict. Let's now join Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Iran's military has said it has targeted the headquarters of Iranian Kurdish forces in northern Iraq, stepping up strikes on Kurdish regions in both Iran and Iraq. The military said it attacked Kurdish groups opposed to the Islamic Revolution in Iraqi Kurdistan with 3 missiles. Tehran is intensifying its attacks on Iranian Kurdish groups in Iraq amid reports that US President Donald Trump wants them to join the fight against Iran as US and Israeli strikes continue. Kurdish Iranian opposition parties in Iraq have denied reports that some of their forces have crossed into Iran. Meanwhile, the UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer says the UK will send 4 fighter jets to Qatar to strengthen UK defensive operations. The US military has confirmed the identities of all 6 soldiers killed in the conflict with Iran. They were killed when an unmanned aircraft system evaded air defenses to hit a command center in Kuwait on Sunday. US Central Command initially said 3 soldiers died in the attack, but officials confirmed the death toll had doubled after 1 person succumbed to injuries and 2 more bodies were found. The 6 identified by the Pentagon were members of the Army Reserve, which according to its website provides logistical support to broader US military operations. Libyan port officials have said a Russian liquefied natural gas tanker has sunk in the Mediterranean after it was hit by explosions and a fire. Russia accused Ukraine of targeting the Arctic metagas with uncrewed sea drones launched from the Libyan coast. Ukraine's SBU State Security Service has not commented. The Libyans said the tanker was carrying around 62,000 tons of LNG before the blasts and that it sank 130 nautical miles north of the Libyan port of Sirte. Russia's transport ministry said 30 Russians were aboard the Arctic metagas. Malta has said they were all found safe and sound in a lifeboat during a rescue operation by Malta's armed forces. China has cut its annual economic growth target to a range of 4.5% to 5%, the lowest expansion goal since 1991, as it grapples with challenges both home and abroad. It is the first time the target has been lowered since it was cut to around 5% in 2023. A target was not set in 2020 due to the pandemic. The details were released during China's biggest political gathering known as the Two Sessions, alongside the release of some details of the 15th five-year plan for the world's second largest economy. Nepalese are voting in a consequential election that will chart the country's path after last year's youth-led anti-corruption protests toppled the government. The same issues that sparked last September's protests are at the centre of the vote: corruption, unemployment, economic stagnation and inequality. The vote for Parliament's 275 seats pits old guard parties against challengers advocating for angry, disillusioned young voters hungry for change. Leading candidates include KP Oli, the Prime Minister toppled in the protests, and Balen Shah, an ex-rapper mayor, taking him on in his constituency. Nearly 19 million people, including almost 1 million first-time voters, are registered to take part in the ballot for the House of Representatives. Millions of people have been left without power in Cuba, the latest in a string of blackouts to hit the island as it struggles with fuel shortages worsened by pressure from the US. Two-thirds of the island has been plunged into darkness following what officials described as an unexpected shutdown at one of the country's main power plants. Cuba has been hit by a wave of power cuts in recent years, with chronic fuel shortages exacerbated by a US blockade on oil from key ally Venezuela since January. Britney Spears has been arrested in California, according to U.S. court documents. The singer was arrested by the California Highway Patrol at around 9:30 on Wednesday evening. She was released in the early hours of Thursday morning and is scheduled to appear in Ventura County Superior Court on the 4th of May. The court documents do not confirm the reason for her arrest. And firefighters have rescued a wolf that had fallen into a canal in the town of San Giovanni Lupitoto in the Veneto region of northern Italy. The distressed animal had taken refuge from flowing waters beneath a footbridge before the fire brigade's river rescue team arrived to save it. After manoeuvring it onto land, firefighters handed the sedated female wolf over to veterinarians for care ahead of an anticipated release into the wild. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon. Back here in the continent, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has announced the postponement of this year's Women's Cup of Nations in Morocco, due to kick off on March 17th by 4 months. CAF said in a statement that it had decided to reschedule the tournament to July 25 through to August 16th in light of certain unforeseen circumstances, without giving any details. There are indications some competing squads had already arrived in Morocco for the tournament, which doubles as African qualification for the 2027 Women's World Cup, with 6 slots at stake. Let's turn to club football now. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola insisting that the Premier League title race is not over after his side's shock 2-0 draw against lowly Nottingham Forest. City trail league leaders Arsenal by 7 points, with the former champions having a game in hand. Ballon d'Or winner Ousmane Dembele has returned to training with his PSG teammates on the eve of their Ligue 1 clash against Monaco, which comes a few days before facing Chelsea in the last 16 of the Champions League. The games against Chelsea will be PSG's 13th and 14th matches against Premier League opposition since the beginning of last season. Chelsea visits the Parc des Princes next Wednesday in the first leg of their last 16 tie in Europe, which will be the first meeting of the teams since last July's Club World Cup final, in which PSG lost 3-0. Organizers of the Milan Cortina Paralympic Winter Games have confirmed earlier today that 7 countries, including the United Kingdom, will boycott the opening ceremony in protest at Russian athletes being allowed to compete under their own flag for the first time since 2014. The International Paralympic Committee, IPC, said last month it would allow 6 Russians and 4 athletes from Belarus to take part in the games under their national flags rather than as neutral competitors. Russian and Belarusian athletes were banned from the 2022 Paralympics following the invasion of Ukraine, although they were permitted to compete as neutral athletes at the Paris Summer Paralympics 2 years later. And performance there by Canadian tennis player Denis Shapovalov. That's sports. I'm Kelly. It's back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. The body of Ventures has sanctioned 17 lawyers for professional misconduct, just as the EFCC says it is persecuting over 100 lawyers for financial fraud. A federal high court in the nation's capital has discharged the acquitted suspended DCP Abba Kyari of the 23-count charge of non-declaration of assets brought against him by the NDLEA. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawade. From all of us here, that's good night.